I feel like most people, if they haven't played Sly Cooper before, take one look at this game and think it's another one of those 3D mascot platformers from the 90s. Games that were a dime a dozen, they were just throwing mascot platformers at the wall. And honestly, for the first game at least, that's not too far off the mark. The first game does feel like it's hindered by being a relic of its time. It feels very much like a fairly generic 3D platformer with some stealth theming. It was also relatively short, able to be completed in a few hours. And if that were the only game in the Sly Cooper franchise, then people still wouldn't be talking about it today. It's good for what it does, but it is also nothing groundbreaking. That all changed with the second game, Sly 2 Band of Thieves, as well as Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves, which heavily incorporated stealth elements and made it more of a stealth platformer hybrid. Something that feels very unique and was really well done. The levels are no longer a linear obstacle course for platforming. They're a lot more open, and you can traverse it in the way you see fit. You can stay to the rooftops, out of the line of sight from all the guards. You can run down the streets, hiding in nearby barrels or under vehicles when a guard comes by. That strategy might put you more at risk, but you might also be able to find guards who are carrying valuable loot, which you now have the ability to pickpocket off them with your deft, sly hands. Each level now feels like its own stealth operation. You begin by doing a bit of reconnaissance, you bring the intelligence back to your safe house, plan out the different resources you need, acquire them, setting up all the dominoes so that when you're finally ready, you can perform a heist, infiltrate a gang leader's hideout, and steal their valuables out from underneath them, without them ever realizing, hopefully. There are a number of fun tools and abilities that help you with your stealth operations. You've got binoculars that allow you to scope out an area before you try to run through it, a smoke bomb you can use to disappear from sight, or an alarm clock you can throw to distract enemies. Or if you haven't acquired the alarm clock yet, you can just break something, make some noise, distract a guard to get them away from their post, and then sneak by them. There's usually more than one way to sneak through an area, and I definitely appreciate that freedom of expression. So yeah, it's a well-made game, but why is it one of my favorites? Because it's deceptively mature. You look at this game and you think, oh, it's a little cartoon platformer stealth game where you're controlling an anthropomorphic raccoon with no pants. How silly. And he's got a turtle friend and a hippo friend that join him for his missions. Isn't that fun? Only to find out that these three characters feel incredibly human. These silly cartoon characters go through a lot of personal growth that you would not expect. There are moments of failure and heartbreak, followed by the joy and jubilation of bouncing back, overcoming one's challenges. It's a story about people figuring out who they are, which is something they didn't have to put into this children's adventure platforming game. This game is rated E for everyone, and yet it still tells a very eloquent, mature story, coupled with the fact that sneaking around and platforming along rooftops is a lot of fun. It's no wonder I keep coming back to these games. And I haven't even talked about the amazing level design, the different bosses you can come across, the gang leaders, and their boss fights. I want to talk in detail about the different story elements, the plot twists, the moments that had an emotional impact on me, how it was so fun to watch not just the heroes, but also sometimes the villains grow and mature. The presentation of the game feels very cartoony, from the thick black outlines around each character, to the distorted and angular buildings, the animated cutscenes, and that title card. Feels like it's right out of a 90s Saturday morning cartoon. It makes you think that you know what you're getting into, only to end up being a bit surprised on what the reality of it is. Looks can be deceiving.
Yeah.
There we go.
Sorry, I had to do that.
You gotta do the spire spin.
Yes, I did.
That's in the back, one of the last pages of the Thievius Raccoonus, the spire spin.
The spire spin, yeah.
Yes, my ancestor, who was a little, well, We loved him regardless. He taught us the spire spin.
His name was Silly Cooper.
Silly Cooper. His mother named him that. She was very vindictive.
She was very vindictive. As a matter of fact, that was her name, Vindictive Cooper.
Vindictive Cooper.